Low testosterone is not a diagnosis, my friend. It is a symptom. It is a number on a page that is trying to tell you something about the rest of your body. And if nobody bothers to ask what, you don't get treated. You get medicated. I am Dr. Ahmet Ergin. I'm an endocrinologist here in Port St. Lucie, Florida. I see the men who went to the low T clinic or men's clinic, whatever they call it. Some of them are fine, right? Some of them are fine, but a lot of them are not. Let me show you what actually causes this and what gets missed. If you're a man in your 40s or 50s with a testosterone of 2.8, the overwhelming odds are that the problem started in your abdomen. The visceral fat is not a story. It is an endocrine organ, and it is full of aromatase, the enzyme that converts your testosterone into estradiol, which is the female hormone. The more belly fat you carry, the more of your own testosterone you convert away. And that estradiol feeds back on the pituitary and shuts down the LH. Now, less LH means less signal to the testicle. So you make less and you convert more of what is left. So it runs downhill pretty fast. Second, insulin resistance. High insulin suppresses SHBG production in the liver, which drags your total testosterone down on paper. But it also directly impairs Leydig cell steroidogenesis and blunts the GnRH pulse generator in the hypothalamus that starts the whole cycle of testosterone production. In the European male aging study, obesity was the single dominant predictor of secondary hypogonadism. Secondary to obesity, insulin resistance, far more than just aging. Third, inflammation, right? TNF alpha, interleukin 6, coming out of that visceral tissue suppress the GnRH pulses directly. And most of the time, these are not really checked in clinical practice, so you wouldn't know if it is high. Now, you are basically, when you have these inflammation markers, you're inflaming your own hypothalamus, which talks to your pituitary, and then your pituitary talks to your testicles. You impair all of that. Fourth, sleep. Now, this one shocks people because 1 week of 5 hours of sleep drop daytime testosterone 10 to 15% in healthy young men. That is reported in JAMA, which is a reputable journal. And if you snore and if you are tired at 2 in the afternoon, you may have obstructive sleep apnea, which is its own independent testosterone suppressor. And the fifth, what you eat and how you move. Ultra processed food and alcohol, which is directly toxic to Leydig cells that makes your testosterone, and it pushes or they push the aromatase up. Chronic undereating or crash diet, which also shuts that axis down. If you're low in vitamin D, low in zinc, low in magnesium, and you have no resistance training, right? Those are big problems. Muscle is your largest glucose sink. And when you don't have it or don't use it, insulin stays high. And here's an interesting flip side. Excessive endurance training with inadequate fuel does the same thing from the other direction. Now, what about the men's clinic? What is wrong with them? What do they miss? Now, here's where I get frustrated. There are two kinds of low testosterone. Primary, right? Testicle is failing, LH is high, primary testicular failure. That is most of the time age related. Could be due to toxins, due to surgery, whatever it may be. But then secondary, which is the brain, the pituitary gland under the brain, isn't sending a signal. The LH is low or inappropriately normal. So if your testosterone is low, your LH should be high. If it is not going up, that means your pituitary isn't working, even if it is in the normal range. Now, you cannot tell those apart without checking LH and FSH. And secondary hypogonadism is a pituitary problem until you prove otherwise. So what I'm looking for here, for example, prolactinoma, a prolactin secreting pituitary tumor that shuts down your GnRH. Well, treat that with cabergoline, and testosterone often normalizes on its own. No injections ever needed. Non-functioning, macroadenomas, hemochromatosis, where iron deposits in the pituitary and the testes. That is a ferritin and an iron saturation problem. Klinefelter syndrome, which is routinely missed in a men's, in their 40s, which is important not to miss. Hypothyroidism, Cushing's, opioids, gabapentin type of medications, chronic steroids, finasteride, heavy cannabis. None of those really gets found if the workup is just one testosterone level and just one credit card, all that's needed. And here's the harm. Testosterone suppresses your own axis. I have seen young men rendered azoospermic, zero sperm, who wanted children and were never warned that testosterone will make them infertile. I have seen hematocrits over 50, 60 with nobody monitoring. That is a stroke risk. Anastrozole handed out reflexively, right? Crushing estradiol, which, by the way, men need that as well for bone and libido. Now, I have seen a man on testosterone for 2 years feeling great who came to me with headaches, loss of peripheral vision. Why? Because there was a pituitary macroadenoma sitting there the entire time when he was getting his testosterone from somewhere else. And his testosterone was the only clue anyone ever had. So slow down through the macroadenoma story, right? Do not rush. And let's talk about what a real workup looks like. So 2 separate morning total testosterone levels, right? Fasting before 10 a.m., confirmed. Not one random afternoon draw. And then free testosterone, if needed, SHBG, LH, FSH, prolactin, estradiol on a nice sensitive assay, CBC, PSA, ferritin, and iron saturation, TSH, A1C, and fasting insulin, a lipid panel, etc. Semen analysis if fertility is anywhere on the table. And a pituitary MRI if prolactin is up or testosterone is severely low. Most of the time, the cutoff is 150 with a low LH. That is not excessive. That is the standard. And before you tell me that sounds expensive, I'll tell you something. At our office, it is $150 a month that covers your visits with me or with my nurse practitioners after you establish with me. It covers your labs. It covers your medication when you need it. So if we both think testosterone is not appropriate for you, then you don't have to sign up to the program because not everybody is a good candidate. Not $150 per visit. It's per month. So it's covering your medication costs, lab costs, everything, even if you don't have any insurance. So cost is not the reason to skip the workup and go buy testosterone from a website. Now let's talk about fixing the costs. In metabolic hypogonadism, weight loss works, right? Because, drop the visceral fat and testosterone climbs, you are turning off the aromatase factory. Live heavy 3 days a week. Treat the sleep apnea. Cut down the alcohol. Replete your vitamin D and zinc. And attack the insulin directly. This is where I use dehydroberberine, which is sugar and luciferberberine. Very effective because it's an AMP kinase activation agent and lowers insulin better. And if you do have a true secondary hypogonadism and you still want children, I would say enclomiphene or HCG can keep your own testicles working instead of switching them off. Now, if you have been handed testosterone without anyone explaining why you needed it, come get a real evaluation. Myself and my nurse practitioners at Diabetes, Thyroid, and Hormone Center of the Treasure Coast, we do this properly. We do this every day. We do the whole thing. And if you don't have insurance, it's just going to cost you $150 a month. And that's it. Covers your medication and labs and everything. Porcelain Lucie, Stuart, Vero Beach, Fort Pierce, wherever you are. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Visit tcendo.com.